The TV show The Bear is one of the greatest shows on leadership and leadership development. Yes, the most chaotic show on TV that makes you have an anxiety attack, a panic attack while you're watching it is probably one of the best shows to illustrate leadership development.
You fucking piece of shit!
Are you gonna fucking stab me?
Maybe I fucking will.
Swear to God! Swear to God!
Leadership development is about taking a group of people through an experience so that they emerge with the skills needed to execute your strategy. So a business has a strategy. It has a meaning and a purpose and a mission for existing. It wants to get from point A to point B. The difference between getting from point A to point B is usually people. It's the people that will get your organization to the goal. And to do that, they need to have a common set of skills and they need to move the business forward together. So how do you take a random assortment of individuals and get them to work together in the same way to move to a common goal? In the show The Bear, we start with a family-run restaurant and it is complete and utter chaos. The cooks don't want to be there, they're not motivated, they're not skilled, and everything is constantly falling apart. Everyone is screaming at each other, yelling at each other.
It's a fucking Honda. Let's just chill for a sec. Oh,
Thanks,
sorry
Chef.
about that. But you're gonna love this next shit. Listen to this. Because then
I'm rocking here. I'm rocking.
Hey.
Richie, I need you to register.
Let me just fucking tell this story.
Richie.
Just 1 second
Richie.
here. Yeah, 1 second.
Richie,
And then-
now.
Yo, can you...
It is one of the most anxiety-provoking shows I have ever seen in my life. In the first season, Carmi, who is running the restaurant, takes over from his deceased brother. Carmi, who comes from Michelin star restaurants, is attempting to take this rundown, family-run restaurant and upgrade it, upskill it so that it can survive. Season 2 is quite an interesting departure from this kind of sandwich shop that makes local recipes. In season 2, the restaurant is going to become a fine dining establishment. And Carmi's going to do it with the same people that were running the super chaotic sandwich shop. What this season does beautifully is it shows how each individual person goes through training and development to be able to come together in the end and create a fine dining experience. One of the most beautiful storylines that really touched me is the storyline of Tina. Tina is a line cook in the restaurant, and she's the one that struggles the most in the beginning with change. She resists doing anything different. She's not motivated. She doesn't want to up her game at all. She's generally the one that is slowing things down. But throughout season 2, she goes to culinary school. And it's through investment, it's through training that she really comes to life. She becomes one of the biggest adherents and proponents of the fine dining concept. Watching Tina flourish, to me, is one of the most beautiful things I've seen represented on television, because it shows that even people that we think are hard cases and not worth investing in, if we take the time to give them the skills and the motivation to do their job well, they will rise to the occasion. So if we think about what it takes to do a leadership development program, there are 4 things that you need to focus on to develop your leaders and to do it together. The first is you understand you have a business strategy. You want to go from point A to point B. So you need to clearly define what are the behaviors I expect of people to get from point A to point B. I'll give you an example. I was working with a corporate client and they wanted to completely transform their business. They went from selling an old product that they could just manufacture again and again to completely reinventing their business. They were going to go in the opposite direction they've ever gone in. And to do that, they needed leaders that were open to change. So they had to completely transform the leadership behaviors, the competencies and the skills of the people in line with the new strategy. Instead of employees and leaders that were just focused on routine and execution, now you needed change agents. So you have to train that. You can't expect it overnight to just happen for you. So the first is, based on your strategy, define the behaviors that you need. The second is you create awareness of where people are right now. So you can use diagnostics, psychometrics, interviews, self-reflection, evaluations, but you need to honestly benchmark where people are relative to what you expect of them. So if all of a sudden you want people to become change agents, you need to understand where they are right now. Are they super open to change? Are they driving change? Are they early adopters of technology? Or are they still focused on what worked in the past? Let's figure out exactly where someone is and create that awareness moment for them. The third thing is to build the skills of people. And this is an intentional thing that you can do through online courses, through in-person workshops, through, again, reflection, workbooks, but there are ways to create the skills people have that underpin the behaviors. These behaviors can all be broken down into very operational actions. For instance, let's take the example of people who are into early tech adoption. You can break that down into little steps and see what a person does and replicate it and become an early tech adopter. So what are they doing? They likely are reading trade magazines or blog posts of really fringe experimental things that are happening in technology. They've likely built a network and go to events or watch conferences where they again have their feelers out into what's happening. They like to try things out. They like to experiment. So they're going to be the first to say, you know what, I'm going to buy the new thing and just give it a shot, give it a try, see what it's worth, see what it's like. So someone who wants to become an early tech adopter, you can reverse engineer and adopt these things. You can start to read the magazines, the blog posts, you can go to the trade conferences, you can watch the TED Talks, you can start to reach out to people, whether it's on social media, LinkedIn, again, making new networks, even within your company. You find the people that are the early adopters and you start to connect with them, share ideas, learn from them. Finally, when you know there's something new coming out, just volunteer, raise your hand, even if you try it once, experiment. Now, this video isn't about becoming an early tech adopter. It's just an example of how we can use these behaviors to build skills that then help us get the outcome of being an early tech adopter. You also want to be doing these things together. So that's another component of successful leadership development programs. You want to bring people together and do learning in cohorts. People learn the best and they learn skills the best when they're all doing it in a group. The learning of the group is much quicker and faster than just being on an individual. I once saw a Mr. Beast video where he said he was working with 3 other people and he described it this way: if I were to go learn and make a mistake and then learn and make a mistake, I could probably learn one new thing every day. But if I have 4 other people with me and we all learn and fail and learn every day and we share it with each other, then we've learned 5 things each day. So instead of learning 1 thing, you go to 5. And that is an exponential increase over time. So you're getting compound effects when you work with other people. The same goes with any skill development. When you do leadership skill training in groups, in cohorts, the overall learning rate is much faster and much higher, and those skills tend to become more embedded in one's day-to-day routine. Finally, number 4 is you need to embed that learning over time. You can't just do a one and done. We did the workshop, everything's great, now go home. People need support to integrate these new skills into their day-to-day. It's easier to try a new skill out in a workshop, and there's tremendous benefit to that, but it's different to then negotiate with how that new skill operates in your operating environment when you go back to work. So to recap, we need to understand, based on our strategy, what behaviors are needed. We need to assess where we honestly are in relation to those behaviors. We need to then develop those skills with other people, and then we need to have some support to carry that through. The Bear does an amazing job of showing all of these components throughout its season. As we saw, Tina goes with her other chef to culinary school where she gets to learn new skills and she gets to go apply that immediately in her workplace every day. We see Sydney, who gets to go to different restaurants and try different menus, and so she gets inspired and there's new things that she wants to try. So she's forming a support network and trying new things and expanding the horizon of her creativity. We see Marcus go to Norway where he trains with a pastry chef, one of the best, so that he can learn the ins and outs and become much more creative technically and artistically in making pastries. And of course, one of the best case studies of the whole season is Richie.
Also, I hate litter. So you cocks are gonna clean up after yourselves.
Who goes from the biggest screw up to running a fine dining institution. And he does this by going to work at another place. Of course, he's resentful in the beginning. He wants to pretend that he's above it and he's better than them. But he catches on with his curiosity, and soon he gets obsessed with the level of service and quality that the fine dining restaurant is providing to its customers. Richie's whole world is turned upside down, and he realizes he has a place within the restaurant, he has a skill set, and that he actually is a valuable contributing member. So he went from one of the most destructive people to one of the highest contributors. In the last episode of season 2, we see him really expediting food and running the whole restaurant while Carmy is locked away in a fridge. Richie's transformation, Tina's transformation, Marcus's transformation, they're all examples of how ordinary people can become extraordinary. And it's not because they want to feel special or be special, but instead people cared about them. They invested in them. They all went on a little bit of a side quest where they got to learn something new, train, and develop. And we can all do this in our life. This is something that's available to us. Of course, the ideal is to have this through our workplace so that the people that are running the show are investing in us to go carry out the mission on their behalf. But even if that's not the case, we can find leadership development and other forms of personal development outside of the workplace. And even if we don't have a ton of funds to go invest in our personal development, there are beautiful resources online for free. Hopefully this is one of them, where you can take online courses for free. You can read books, do workbooks to help develop the skills that you need. When we think about companies, there are 2 strategies to talent. You can either buy talent, so you buy someone that's an ideal fit and that knows how to do the job already, or you need to train talent, so you need to invest in people. There are pros and cons to each, and that's the topic for a different video, but in this video, I would like to request and invite us to really train our people. If you don't have training, you can't expect people to perform. Everyone needs onboarding, everyone needs expectation setting, everyone needs role clarity, and they need training to do the job. I don't care how skilled or how smart you are, you benefit from training to do this particular job in alignment with the particular strategy of the company. So let's take a little bit more time, invest in our people, and build the leadership skills that will help our companies be successful.